What it mean to be the best? Riding foes, feeling unimpressed. Make me reminisce, throwing bows, bend the corner, set my mind up on the goal. All I know is stay down, bad, I'm the goal. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up.
Yo, what's good? Kingdom Cast, tell the truth. We are back with another episode 47 to be exact.
Man.
I'm your host, your man, your favorite DG in the Twitter land, DG. I got my guy, my sports betting guru, CJ's in the building.
Hit that DG.
Hey, tonight, man, bye week has come and it is gone. Hopefully, the Chiefs have had a successful bye week, been able to kind of iron some things out, get some things sorted out, get some roles sorted out, some kinks, some stuff to fix over this bye week and get well rested because they got a tough one coming up. Heading out west to play the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle at defense, Nick Bosa. They got stars all over the field out there, man. And as always, it's always a tough matchup against them guys. Of course, we've seen them last 2 times in the Super Bowl and things of that nature. So we got history, man. There's a lot of talk going on right now, about getting licked backs, stuff like that. Well, I know it's not coming. I know it's not coming per se from their players or anything, but they thinking about it.
They know what time it is.
You know what time.
We all do too.
Nah, man. But like I said, Chiefs head out west. Actually, an underdog in this game. I think the spread is -1.5 for the.
You know what that means, DG.
Yeah. So Patrick Mahomes is an underdog again. It's rare sight. But give us your early thoughts on how the bye week went for you, and and what you think they probably worked on at this point in time to get themselves prepared for this game this Sunday.
Yeah, definitely a time to get off and reset. Definitely reflect. Definitely time to reflect and get some time off and chill with your family, get away from football, unplug for a little bit. It's always good. It's a long season, especially for us. We've been playing into February for the last 2 years and into January for the last 6 years. So anytime you get a week off to, chill with your family, unplug, not think about football for 24, 48 hours, either go back to your campus, watch your old college team, DMac with us, or you can go chill with your family, do anything you need to do just to get away from football because it's such a long season mentally, more so than physically. So you need to relax. So that's first and foremost. After that, man, you just got to, give yourself a pat on the back for what you did on Monday night, handled your business, won the game like you're supposed to. Got some guys involved, some familiar faces back around in the city. That was good to see. Juju came back, Kareem came back. Both turned the clock back on us and had some good plays on Monday night. And now it's time to see what we can do versus this Niners defense, which we know is going to be a tough task, regardless of who's out there. Like DG said, it was Bosa, Fred Warner, Travis Ward. We know is going to be suited up and booted for this one. It's always a big time matchup anytime we play the guys out there in the red and gold. So they're a good football team. They're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. Whether Christian McCaffrey's out there or not, it's going to be a tough task because they can make plays. They got good players that can go out there and create before and after the catch. So it's always going to be a tough ask. But from an offensive standpoint, I want to see us continue to do what we've been doing all year, especially since, more so the last 3 weeks, which is run the football with Kareem Hunt. I want to see it be efficient, keep us in short distances, keep us ahead of the chains, and then make our plays in the passing game and obviously keep doing our heavy personnel we've done the last 2 weeks with our 12, 13, and newly introduced 14 personnel. First time ever. Shout out to Andy Reid and the tight ends. Best group in the league, and they showed it on Monday night versus the Saints. And they're a very versatile group, and they can do a lot of different things with Jody and Noah, Jared, and then Travis, who leads the head of the snake. So it's a very versatile group in there, and they're going to have a lot of heavy lifting to do until we decide how this receiver group is going to look. But until then, it's going to be a lot of Xavier Worthy, a lot of Juju Smith-Schuster. Justin Washington's going to get his reps, and we'll see who mixes in other guys if they decide to add somebody else. I'm sure we'll talk about that later in the show as well. But the defense has been carrying us all year. They carried us last year as well. They've been doing what they're doing. Spags is the best defensive coordinator in the game. There's nothing more else you can say about that guy. Doesn't matter who leaves, who stays. As long as he's out there and him and 9-5 are on the field, they're going to figure out ways to make plays. So overall, I expect us to continue to do what we do. It's going to be a tough matchup. From an offensive standpoint, obviously the Niners don't have CMC. Hasn't been there all year. But I know Jordan Mason's been dealing with a shoulder injury after the Seattle game. So I know he's questionable to see if he's going to play or not. But overall, you still got to prepare as if everybody's fully healthy because Kyle Shanahan's one of the best offensive minds in the league. So never underestimate these guys. It's going to be a good matchup. I know we're going to get into the details, but I'm excited for it. And we get to go out west. Usually when we go out there, we play well. So I'm excited for the matchup for sure.
Yeah, I propose the same question to you, DMac. Over the bye week, how do you feel that they have made? What adjustments do you think they've made to that not only to the offense but to the defense as well, just with this time off?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the also. Hi, how's everybody doing?
It's good, man.
I'll take the defense first because I think that's the easier side of the ball. I don't think that there are many adjustments to be made. This team is playing extremely well on the defense side of the ball. We usually talk about kind of early season Chiefs or just Chiefs in general when it comes under the Spags era that they, have some issues versus the run that's just not existed this year. And they've had tough matchups that as far as testing their ability to stop the run, and they've stepped up to the challenge each time. So I don't know if there's really many adjustments to be made. We talked about, obviously some people were hoping for a little bit more Jaden Hicks snaps. The way the defense is playing right now, I don't expect that really to change. Something has to happen before that happens. From that standpoint. And so Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie locking down the top two spots at cornerback. Chris Jones, thankfully got some rest over the bye week. Tershawn Wharton playing extremely well interior defensive line, and Mike Pennell's been the rough run stopper to kind of give them, a breather every once in a while. Edges are going to stay the same. FAU's been giving them some okay snaps. We expected more from George Karlaftis and Mike Dana. And outside of that, it's kind of just going to be what it is. I do hope that whatever Mike Dana was going through, it seemed like before the bye week and some of the injuries he had, that he's back from that, with an extra week to heal up and back to looking like the edge that we paid, honestly, because we kind of need him to provide a little bit more pass rush from that standpoint. But yeah, defense is easy. I don't think that they changed much. Offense, obviously, a little bit less so. I think that the big thing for me is more chemistry for Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy. In the situation that the Chiefs are in from a wide receiver aspect, they need to get that connection going. There have been too many opportunities for Xavier Worthy to get down the field and make some explosive plays in which Patrick Mahomes hasn't hit him. For one reason or another. Sometimes it's him dropping his eyes too early. Sometimes it's him bailing from clean pockets. Sometimes it's offensive line letting him down and giving up pressure too quickly. Sometimes it's just going to different reads and checking the ball down too quickly as well. So for whatever reason that may be, getting that chemistry together is hopefully something that's been emphasized because as of right now, we are going to need Xavier Worthy to step up and grow up very quickly in this offense. So that's the biggest adjustment that I think can happen over the bye week. Outside of that, you're just going to continue to see this offense kind of operating in the same ways that it has. Juju's going to continue to be a zone beater, wide receiver, and in between the 20s, the space that he can create, or I should say Xavier Worthy can create in the ways that he takes the top off the defense will open things up for him and Kelce. And you'll see Justin Watson continue to run his corner routes, his stop routes, and go every once in a while. Other than that, I don't expect to see anything else from the wide receivers. It's going to be about the tight ends, Noah Gray, hopefully maybe a little bit more Jared Wiley showing up in the passing or specifically for receiving work. Obviously, Jody Ford to continue to work back into the rotation. But outside of that, the offense is going to look largely the same. It's going to come down to if Xavier Worthy can end up, having that connection with Patrick Mahomes show up more often, because that's ultimately the thing immediately in-house that can change this offense for the better right now.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys and your takes. I think the main thing, especially for the defensive side, is like you said, DMac, just keeping the main thing, sticking to what they know at this point in time. They've been playing well. The addition of getting Charles Omenihu back here in maybe a couple weeks, I think will help out a lot, especially with that edge rush, getting a lot more pressure on the quarterback. I think that's the only area that they've kind of lacked on the edges. So hopefully they can clean that up and be a little bit better with that. I think that'll help them be a little bit more disruptive and maybe possibly cause more turnovers and getting the ball back for the offense as well. Offensively, get Xavier Worthy the ball more. Figure that out right now. He's definitely getting open at this point in time. I kind of feel like him and Pat's trust is growing. It's a work in progress or whatever. I know a lot of rookies just don't step into this league and gain a top QB like Pat's trust quickly like that. We seen last year that Rashid Rice had to grow up really fast as well. And I think Xavier Worthy's going to have to do that here for the next couple of weeks until they can kind of figure out what they want to do out there in other areas. Of course, we've seen other teams make some moves and stuff like that. So I know that they're monitoring those situations as well and seeing what's probably available for them out there as well at this point in time too. So, but yeah, man, hopefully they was able to attack the bye week really well and watch some film and correct some issues that they had offensively and be able to move the ball a little bit better coming into this next week. I feel like against the Saints, they did a really good job of keeping Pat protected, uh, especially from the offensive line standpoint, and running the ball a lot more. That's the first time I think we've had a running back carry the ball 27 times in I don't remember. We were over here fighting for Isaiah Pacheco to get the ball 14 to 15 times a game to, just to be stable. So now seeing that Kareem Hunt can kind of handle that load of getting those kind of touches and volume, I think will help really expand this offense as well too. So, but what was my next? I forgot. Oh, Chiefs offense, Niners defense. What do you guys feel like is the keys to victory for this offense against this Niners defense?
Keep doing like you said. Keep the main thing. Run the football. Keep us in short distances. Obviously, the Niners defense, they're not playing up to their standard either. I think most of their players or their fans will tell you the same thing. Obviously, they've had guys trying to come back from injury. Obviously, they're battling mainly a lot of injuries on offense, but overall, they've been missing guys and trying to make plays. But overall, the offense isn't really doing their necessary standard of scoring, so the defense is playing a lot more on the field. But from an overall defensive standpoint, they haven't really been sacking the quarterback to the level that they want. They're giving up more points than usual. I think that's due to their secondary play. Last year, their secondary was susceptible to the deep pass and giving up a lot of yards after the catch, and they're kind of carrying that over to this year. So I would love to see us go in there and establish the run. Same thing, similar to what I've seen the Niners from this so far this year. When they played the Vikings, obviously it was a couple weeks ago, and now things change after the bye. But from what I saw during that game, they attacked them in the middle of the field, and I think that's something we do very well. To DMac's point, Juju Smith-Schuster can eat up that middle of those zones, and I think they're going to obviously give us some man looks. They're going to trust their guys to go out there and play one-on-one coverage, and I think there's going to be some opportunities for Zay to go out there and make some plays downfield to DG's point. So that Xavier Worthy Mahomes connection has to come because I believe there's going to be some opportunities this week for them to make plays 20 yards down the field because I know the Niners aren't going to come in there and just let us dice them up the whole time. Last time we saw them, it was ironically Juju Smith-Schuster had a career game, so it's funny that Juju's coming off a 130-yard game versus the Saints, and now we're playing him now because the last time he saw them, he had a big day, and Mecole had 3 touchdowns, I believe, that game, all on jet sweeps, I believe. So, yeah, from an offensive standpoint, don't change too much. Keep doing what you've been doing. We just got to run the ball. Obviously, we know we're not going to be a high-volume passing team until we figure out what we're going to do with our receiver room, but for the time being, we can run the ball at a high level. We've been very efficient with that, whether it be with Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, or Samaje coming in on third down. I just want to keep us in second and medium, keep us in third and shorts, and then use this heavy personnel that's been great for us the last week or two. So I love what we do in our tight end room. I think it's the best in the league. And when you have those guys that can win those matchups, Fred Warner's an amazing linebacker. He's the best in football, but he can be had at times, especially when you mix up those looks and those route combinations in the middle of the field. And I love our matchups against any of their DBs, honestly. I've loved our tight end group for a lot of years. So now you add a guy like Jody back to Jared Wiley and Noah Gray, it's only going to make those guys more dangerous. So they've been susceptible to the run. So that's the first and foremost thing for me. Run the ball, set up your play action, and when you have those chances to hit Xavier Worthy down the field, you have to hit them because they're going to be there for sure.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, this has been a defense that, like you said, hasn't been lived up to its elite level that it's had as far as a standard from years past. But it's still a good defense. They perform fairly well across the board, whether versus the run or the pass. They haven't, been gashed on the ground. They haven't. They've done a good job of being able to get after the quarterback, still within the top 10 as far as quarterback pressure rate is concerned. You look at Nick Bosa, he's not necessarily having an elite Nick Bosa year from the standpoint, but still has a whole bunch of pressures, leading them in pressures. I believe he's second team in time to pressure as well. Leonard Floyd is second as far as the quarterback pressure percentage, but it's a little bit further down because it's taken him a while. He's over 3 seconds as far as that time to pressure. And then Javon Hargrave in the middle has also been causing some havoc. So it's really about Bosa and Hargrave from the aspect of what you're going to do starting in the trenches. And we know obviously some of the issues that we have from a tackle perspective. So that plan that they are going to have specifically on passing downs to attack Nick Bosa and not allow him to wreck the game from the edge is going to be a key and a paramount one from that standpoint. One way in which you have been able to get after him, like CJ said, is the cornerback position. So there have to be abilities to attack them effectively on the outside with your wide receivers. Tight ends can get after them as well, certainly from that aspect. We know Travis Kelce is going to have the standpoint of that aspect too. And there you have the ability to run at them. It's not a great option, but it is something that we've done at the best success rate in the NFL, and I think that we can continue it. So that has to keep you ahead of the sticks outside of those really difficult down and distances. But there are opportunities to get after the cornerbacks. You have to follow through on those opportunities. And again, I think this is going to test Mahomes being better out of the bye week than he was prior to the bye week from that standpoint, to make sure you can take advantage of some of their weaknesses through the air. And then the offensive line, if they hold up and do their job, I think we can put some points on the board from that standpoint as well. One thing to watch, though, they are down a lot of safeties. They had to go out and sign Adrian Amos. Obviously, they're going to be missing Hufanga again. That is something they need to take advantage of. They have to be able to attack the spine of this defense. Obviously, missing Dre Greenlaw, still coming back from that Achilles. They've rotated in that second linebacker spot. Got to always be aware of Mr. 54, because that is the elite of the elite as far as defensive players in general in this league are concerned. But if you can attack the spine outside of 54, then you have a chance to really gash them from that standpoint too. So that's what I'm looking for the Chiefs offense. Attack their corners, continue to run the ball well, and attack the spine specifically with the tight ends where you can stay ahead of the sticks and get after them. Make sure you have a plan for Nick Bosa on those passing downs.
Yeah, staying ahead of the sticks, I think, is the biggest key into getting a victory out there. Really, especially on the road, going out there and not wanting to get behind in long distances, long second and long, third and long. Crowd is going wild, and and then that defensive line can pin their ears back, and Nick Bosa can do what he does best. I think the main thing that we've always done was kind of use what Nick Bosa does best against him, which is his aggressiveness and how he kind of over pursues. Sometimes I know. I think the last time we went out there, running those jet sweeps to his side, things of that nature, giving him different looks, different things to kind of get his eyes moving and stuff like that. I think it's kind of always helped us be successful against them at this point. So I think that's a real big key for us to go out there and make sure that we isolate him from wreaking havoc on us or whatever. And then, like you said, attacking down the field, safeties being out, a lot of injuries. I would expect us to see some shots down the field, especially early on. I think that's one of the biggest things that the offense can kind of come out and do from the start, is just trying to see, where they're at as far as, their safety play, and are they going to be playing back or deep or in the box or anything like that, especially if you start getting the run going really well. So, yeah, heavy task on your hands. Of course, we know what that Niners defense can always do, man. They're one of the best front sevens in the game. So, especially when you got one of the best linebackers in the game and one of the best defensive linemen in the game in Nick Bosa. So, it's definitely a challenge. We'll flip over to the other side and go with the Chiefs defense against the Niners offense. What do y'all feel like our defense has to do in order to secure a victory out in the Bay Area?
I mean, it's the same formula it always is with 49ers. Stop the run, get them in difficult passing situations, and then rely on being able to create pressure and do enough on the back end from that standpoint. Again, this has been an extremely good defense, specifically from the run game. And you look at what Shanahan always wants to do using those outside zone concepts. We've been excellent versus outside zone. It's an area in which I thought we played really well. We didn't allow Alvin Kamara to use it. Obviously, coming from that Shanahan tree, Clint Kubiak always emphasizes using those outside zones. We did not allow that to kill us last week. I was really impressed by that challenge specifically. And I think that'll formulate well for what we're going to look at versus the 49ers. Obviously, it seems like it's going to be Jordan Mason. You'll get a little bit Isaac Guriendo as well from that standpoint, but got to stop the run. And then secondary after that, obviously try and get them into the passing down situations, rush lane integrity. This offensive line can be leaky at times, but Brock Purdy has done a very good job of being slippery and making some key throws from that aspect. So rush lane integrity, and then obviously stopping the superstars. I think it comes down to Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. George Kittle has been excellent this year, pretty much throughout the entirety of the season, being able to gash teams down the spine. We know some of the weaknesses that we've had guarding tight ends in general, obviously with the safeties as well. You got to be able to not allow him to wreck your game plan as far as the defense is concerned. You put pressure on Purdy in those difficult passing situations, I think that you can not necessarily get him into some mistakes because he's done a good job of protecting the football, but make it very difficult for him to be incredibly accurate from that standpoint. I trust what we can bring to the table versus the cornerback wide receiver matchup. Not going to be as easy as it was in the Super Bowl, obviously having L'Jarius Sneed, but the way that Trent McDuffie's played, the way that Jalen Watson has played, the attention that Spags likes to bring from that standpoint, and he knows he can take advantage of their protection scheme from that aspect. I feel good about that standpoint, but it is important to make sure that George Kittle specifically and the entirety of their superstars don't kill you on those passing downs. But as always, when it talks to the 49ers, you got to stop the run. If you don't stop the run, you're dead in the water.
What about you, Sir?
No, absolutely same thing. It all starts with the head of the Snakes, Jordan Mason. I know he's dealing with a shoulder injury, but I fully expect him to go out there and give it a go because we know everybody plays through injuries when the Chiefs come in town. So we stop the run, it gives you the right to pass rush on third down, and Brock Purdy's been susceptible at times and maybe trying to rush his time clock and maybe get him off his spot and maybe force him to a mistake or two here or there. So definitely stop them and force them to get him in third and long and second and medium situations where he's not comfortable because the O-line isn't the best, like DMac pointed out, and I think we've done a great job of seeing timely pressure and getting into the backfield and making guys uncomfortable. I love the way Trent's played this year. He's played like a top 5 corner all year, played like an all-pro guy like we saw last year. So if we can continue that play, Jalen Watson has earned the right to be CB2, and he's played like it all year. So I love our matchups versus those guys, and obviously they're going to try to make their plays down the field. They're going to take their shots when they do their run after catch. But as far as the defense, we've done a great job of stopping the run. So in any defensive job coming into the week, you want to stop the run. I know it kind of like sounds like we're repeating ourselves, but any defense's first and foremost job is to get them in second and long and third and mediums. And when you can do those things, it makes you as a defensive coordinator your job that much easier to make and call plays, especially when you're trying to make explosive plays as a DC. So our secondary has been amazing this year. Like DMac said, we would love to see Jaden Hicks, but Jamari Carter's been playing like it. I know he's just like a second-year guy. He played like an all-pro safety in my eyes. He's done everything we've needed him to do, play in the box, whether it be blitzing, covering tight ends, covering guys out of the backfield, playing D-third if need be. He does everything for us. So I love that matchup with him, George Kittle. That's probably going to be my favorite matchup of the week because the D-backs point, George Kittle's been playing really good ball this year. So I'm excited to see how Jamari Carter takes that challenge and how he responds. Obviously, you see Travis Kelce every day in practice during camp. So there's really not too many better guys you can see. But George Kittle's another monster in itself because he can block. He does everything that the team needs him to do. So I'm very excited to see how we match up against him. But overall, I expect to see a lot of Trent on Deebo Samuel like we saw last year. I think they're going to give Jay Watt the assignment for Brandon Ayuk and maybe keep his safety over the top and see so we don't get him beat downfield as much. But, yeah, first and foremost, stop the run. We've been number one run defense in the league this year for a reason. Most of the running backs we've held under 50 yards. We have a long list. And I expect to add another guy to that list this week for sure.
Yeah, it's really surprising because historically the Chiefs haven't been – that's a category the Chiefs haven't really been very good at stopping the run.
You could tell Spags. He said they made an emphasis on it all summer, and they take it to heart for sure.
A big emphasis. It's been a big emphasis this year. And they shut down some premier backs, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, and I know
Bijan, all of them.
Yeah, those teams dealing with injuries and stuff like that, but you can only play what you can play. So those guys are still all pro, some of the best running backs in the league. So now they have to go out here and face another good team that likes to run. And establish their offense off of that. I think this is a good challenge for the Chiefs, especially coming off the bye. to kind of go out there and impose their will on that defensive line. Turk Wharton, Derek Nandi, Mike Pinnell, those guys have been amazing in the middle. Chris Jones, all of them amazing in the middle. Very sound gap discipline this year. And then the linebackers have been flowing to the ball very, very well. Nick Bolton has made plenty of plays in the backfield to stop runs in their tracks. Drew Tranquil as well. Leo Chanel is playing like a monster at this point. So that front seven is really cooking, man, at this point. I think that you can really tell and see the emphasis of them stopping the run and what that meant to them, especially heading into training camp into the season this year. So hopefully they're able to keep it up because they're going to need it, especially against this team. And hopefully they have a lot of success with it or whatever. I know there was news today. Of course, you know, we all seen Devontae Adams was traded to the Jets. Then I think an hour later, Amari Cooper ends up with the Buffalo Bills, and I think Chiefs Kingdom kind of went into a little bit of outrage about, you know, the Amari Cooper
fake
trade.
outrage, not real mad,
Yeah.
just fake mad.
Just it's giving rich people vibe. You
It's
know,
like a
rich
kid when he
people-
throw a tantrum when he don't give it to him.
rich people problem vibes. But you know, I guess my question to you guys would be at this point, if you're Brett Veach and seeing what transpired today, what went down today, what is your move at this point in time? Are you desperate to make a move, or are you willing to go into this week seeing again what you have, and can this offense click without making that move so desperately at this point?
I think it's kind of based on, like we said a couple episodes ago. Obviously, the top of the list was Amari Cooper, which we all didn't really have too much faith in there because we knew like the things that didn't go in our favor, the age. Obviously, he's had an injury history, which doesn't bode well for players that Veach is going to bring in addition to the roster. So most of us, I know all of us on this panel, we were in agreement that Deontay Johnson was probably the more likely scenario. Younger, obviously a guy that's looking for a new contract, so we know Carolina's not bringing him back. And we scouted him in the summer as well. So a guy that we're familiar with and we had interest in as well. So it made sense from that standpoint. A guy that can play Z, he can play slot or outside if need be. So he could be a versatile receiver as well. And then Andy Reid kind of gave a little nugget today saying that it wouldn't be really of a transition as far as getting him in the building. It'll be more so like the timing of trying to like get him down with Pat and get him controlled and get him probably more in nuances with the offense and learning everything. The hardest thing for a receiver, in my opinion, is learning the 2-minute drill. Because as far as knowing how to run routes, that's not an issue. It's learning the terminology. And when we're in 2-minute drill, I can say a word and you know what that word means for our offense. And that's the hardest thing you're trying to pick up on the fly that you can do in like less than a week or two. So getting him in for the bye would have been amazing. But now you're trying to do it on the season, which is kind of tough. And Andy kind of elaborated on that today. But overall, I mean, we kind of said it. Deontay Johnson and Coop were the top two options for us. If they're going to go bargain bin shopping, I said DPJ. I know DMac mentioned D-Rob as well. Somebody joked around, said Byron Pringle may come back. So it wouldn't shock me if they got D-Rob off the Rams. I know their season's pretty much in the hole right now with Cooper Kupp and Puka have been dealing with injuries. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did that. The name, I don't even want to say his name, number 11, did get cut today from Buffalo to bring in Amari Cooper. I'm not going to mention his name. He is available as well. I'll let y'all figure it out for yourselves. But yeah, if we're going to roll what we got this week, I think we do. I think we play with the same group of guys. And if they decide to bring somebody in, I would love Deontay Johnson if it makes sense compensation-wise, because I think he can come in here and be a great fit for what we do. He's good after the catch. He can run routes. But if we're going to trade for a receiver, like if I'm asking someone, I would go – if it's between a lesser of two evils, go get D-Rob. I'm not trying to deal with number 11. Respect. Give me the original number 11. Give me that one, please. I'm not trying to deal with dark-skinned assassin from Wisconsin. I'm just not dealing with it. I really don't want to go through that headache again. All love to him. Appreciate everything he did for us, but please, God, no. Yeah, if we're going to add a receiver and familiarity, which is normally what the Chiefs do, give me DeMarcus Robinson and let's try to go win. So
Yeah,
that's all I got.
What did you call him? Dark skin?
Dark skin assassin, baby. Hey, in the playoffs, what did he do? Ask the Bengals what they call him. What do they call him? That's Tyreek.
Oh,
That's Tyreek. Did that.
You know what? Jermaine Pratt absolutely with a straight face.
That's his new Tyreek.
That's his new Tyreek.
What did he say?
He
That
going
is
to
it.
11.
That
That's
is
his new
something.
Tyreek.
He was out there. With
God
emphasis,
bless his heart, because he
Shout out to Ray Bradbury.
absolutely said
They going to 11.
They going to 11.
That's Tyreek for him. DG, pull the clip up. I got to see that, bro.
That's when you.
DG, pull the clip up.
That's when you know, like this shit is getting bad. When you over
Bro,
here,
I was at
on
that
the-
game. I ain't never
doing
laughed so hard in my
this.
life when I saw that clip. I was like, ain't no way he just called this man, bro. I was like, Jesus Lord.
I still can't believe it, to be honest with you.
He really said it too, with emphasis too. He said it with his whole chest.
No, so
That's Tyreek.
can I speak to something about the MVS situation?
Absolutely, yes.
Y'all know Veach.
Speak your mind. Speak your
What if
mind.
Veach put a tweet out right while we talking? Oh God.
Look,
He's doing it. I know he's
and I
typing
hope
it up right now.
I hope
know
this
he is.
message reaches Ray
He's doing it right
Beach.
now, guys. I feel it.
You already have a better MVS.
Please don't do it.
Year.
Please
Don't
Veach,
do it, Beach.
No, God, no, God, no.
You have MVS, and he can actually catch and track the ball.
And he's faster.
And he's faster. And he's younger. And he's more electric when he gets the ball in his head.
But DG,
He's
DG,
already there.
sometimes you want that old thing back, though.
No. See.
Not now.
Sometimes,
God,
look,
no.
listen.
God, no. God, no.
Sometimes you gotta learn.
But DG, sometimes you just think about it and you look back, you're like, but what if? Because it's just, we're sitting here and we have this need, and we know we need somebody. We've lost what we thought was really good, and you just got to make that call. And you know it's out there. You know they're gonna answer the phone because nobody else calling. You know they're gonna answer the phone. So sometimes you just go out there and need that old thing back.
God,
and,
no, please,
and,
no.
and you know Brett Veach. You know Brett Veach loved to send them late night texts because that's when he gets his best
Hit
work
that you
done.
up text.
He liked to
I
send
was
them late
sitting at
night texts.
home.
He definitely sent that you up text.
And I was watching TV until TV went off.
He loved to see them late night texts, man. You know he do. You know he do love to send them late night texts.
MVS, you know, I love you.
We did some great things together. I gave you a lot of money. You didn't really deliver on that money, but you did enough in the playoffs, so I didn't get killed for it.
Oh God!
I don't need to pay you all that money right now. I just need you. I just need you for 2 catches a game. You may drop one of them. It might be 1 for 3 on targets, but I just need you for one of them a game. That's all I need.
DG, the devil is a lie. I don't care.
I just need you for a little lie.
The devil is a lie.
Yeah.
I am legitimately concerned that he is actually making that phone call for the record.
I'm not trying to do this.
I hope it's not. I pray
Please,
it's not.
God,
but
no. God,
I would not be shocked if that happened. We banted about all the different names. DeMarcus Robinson, sure. I'd be happy to bring DeMarcus Robinson back. Perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. Darius Slayton, perfectly fine. If the Giants, now that it seems like they're going to be down Andrew Thomas for the rest of the year, cool with me. Definitely would be fine with bringing him back.
Terrace Marshall was cut in as well. Not a bad option.
Did see that. I would be fine with bringing Darius Slayton in for a 3rd round pick, or not a 3rd round pick, a day 3 pick, like a 5th or 6th. Yeah, no, 5th or 6th. People talked about Mike Williams' insanity as far as I'm concerned to trade for him. If he's cut and you want to bring him in, fine. But no, I'd prefer not to. I don't think that's really going to be the solution you need.
No, thank you.
Obviously, Deontay Johnson is the one that I personally prefer. A lot of people talk about Kevin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. Difficult from the money standpoint. That also applies to Christian Kirk as well. Difficult from that aspect. Those are hoops to jump through. Deontay Johnson fits from a financial standpoint. I think there's alignment, obviously, with Carolina Panthers and where they're headed this year. Also from an age standpoint and possibly giving them a short-term extension, which, given the uncertainty with Rashee Rice, here, Hollywood Brown being on an expiring deal, something I would prefer as well. And I think that he, even though he doesn't necessarily have experience in the system, what he brings to the table, consistent man beater, consistent guy that understands how to play the position. People talked about his drop problem, in previous years. He hasn't really had one this year. And so I have no issues from that standpoint too. So, and it's not like we're talking about, some small diminutive type of guy, that man, even though he's 5'10", but he's built solidly from the standpoint of you're not concerned about it from that aspect. He can take wide receiver 1 level of targets as well. So
he runs right well too, which I know they'll appreciate.
Yeah.
Him, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that I would go with, and specifically he said he wants to try and build a home, so he'd be maybe more amenable to having a short-term extension from that standpoint. So that's the guy that's the number one target for me. The only guy left that'd be worth entertaining, possibly giving up our own third-round pick as well. We'll see where that may land as far as compensation is concerned. But everybody else, you're talking about the DeMarcus Robinsons, the Darius Slaytons of the world. That's obviously day three type of compensation in that aspect. So that's kind of where we're laying. But, Brett Veach is going to be working on phones. So we'll see what ends up happening. As far as getting them implemented in the offense, I don't think it was ever going to be a 1 week thing. There's always going to be a level of ramp up, even if you did get them in for the bye week, which would have been ideal. But I think it's one of those things where teams got to take some losses before we get to that point. So it is what it is. And we'll see if they can get something done before the deadline comes up.
Yeah. Per Nate Taylor, the Chiefs are trading for a receiver. If they are, it's going to be somebody under 30. So Deontay Johnson, I feel like fits the mold of what
28, baby.
Right. 28 years old. Right on the line.
Right
you
on.
Could literally give him
You can give him a 2 year or give him a 3 year deal with really only 1.5 of those years really guaranteed and have that be the extension. So
yeah, I think that's probably the route that they may consider. I know that they would probably have to do some restructures before they were able to get that done. Obviously, I think the news would probably be announced that they're trading for him before all that happens or whatever, and they'll probably figure out the financials and stuff later. I know that Christian Kirk was another name that people had kind of brought up, but I do kind of believe that financially that would be really tough for them to take on. Christian Kirk,
nice deal.
I think he's on is this his third year of that deal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it was a
third year down there.
It was a 4-year deal.
It is year 3.
Yeah. So I mean, the Jags are pretty much halfway through that deal at this point in time. I know that they would probably want any team that is willing to trade for him or call and ask about him to take on most of the contract that he has at this point in time to kind of free up some stuff for them.
Yeah, I mean that's a difficult part of it. I mean, he's making 14.5 on his regular salary, so that's untenable for us to be able to take in. That's before you get into the 15.5 that he's scheduled to make next year. So there would have to be them taking on some money, and of course that's going to come with them asking for a compensation in return. So we'll see how willing they are really to do that from that standpoint.
The Calvin Ridley thing is intriguing too, but it for me, I think it's kind of financial strap as well too. Calvin Ridley just got
will be
paid.
30 in December, by the way, just so while we're hitting up against that. Yeah,
that's the number 30 mark. That's the 30 mark.
Right. So I think you're kind of sitting here with limited options. I do believe that they probably did call on Amari and check and see what the price is going to be or whatever. But also knowing who the Chiefs are and knowing how deep we go in the playoffs and where we finish, our third round picks or any later round pick is essentially worse than anybody else's picks that are offering at this point in time, just because of where we finishing out through the year. So I think the best option right now is for them to have Carolina on the phone and seeing what they can do to work out to get Deontay Johnson in Kansas City. And that's who I believe, if they're going for somebody under 30, to Amaya's question, that's who's probably going to be. Schematically, why do you guys feel like, and I know people have probably heard us talk about this before, but just to reiterate it again, schematically, why do you guys feel like Deontay Johnson fits?
Yeah.
He's a classic Z, so I'll go ahead, D-Man.
No, you go ahead.
He's a classic Z. Like everything you want from a Z receiver, like you said, he fits the mold from like 5'10", 6 foot, body type, can run routes, and gets in and out of breaks very well. Outside of the drop issue that he had in Pittsburgh in his earlier years, he's been a 1,000-yard receiver. He's a guy that can catch 100 passes if given the volume. Obviously didn't score a lot of touchdowns, but as far as a guy that can move the ball, play inside out, play off ball, play on ball, that's exactly what you want out of a Z receiver. So he fits everything in that mold that you would like. Not a guy that really talks a lot, but a guy that can definitely go out there. He's very smooth in and out of his breaks. catches the ball very well. Haven't heard really any drop issues. I've watched a lot of Carolina games this year for other reasons, but I've watched him play. Haven't really seen too many drop issues. So a guy that can play both sides of the ball, left, right, can play in motion, can play out of the slot. And in this offense, you have to use your route running and your speed to beat DBs to get open. And that's something that Deontay Johnson has done very well his whole career. Outside of not scoring touchdowns, he's really done everything you could ask him to do. He's been productive at catching the ball. He runs good routes. He gets in and out of his breaks. He's very smooth. Doesn't pitter pat. Doesn't have overstep on his routes. He's very dips his hips. Gets in and out of his breaks very well when it comes to running outs. And obviously, we run a lot of daggers and crossers, thing that he runs a lot of currently right now with Carolina. So I think he'd be a perfect fit for this offense. And we already scouted him for all the reasons that I just mentioned. So Deontay Johnson fits the mold of a chief receiver. Not overly big, but not necessarily too small either. Runs decent, runs really good routes, has decent hands, good speed, a guy that can go out there and do multiple things. And we preach versatility, right? That's the biggest thing that the Chiefs ask for in any position, but even more so receiver. So I think he's a classic guy that would fit in the Andy Reid system. And I think he fits the mold of everything we want for a receiver. So Andy's younger, 28 years old, like we just pointed out. So it makes all the sense in the world to me, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not mad that. Yeah, I completely agree with all those sentiments. To me, it just comes down to, can you beat man coverage? He's done it consistently throughout his year, and that really is all I ask for. He's a guy that can play all three positions. Obviously, like CJ said, he's classic Z, ultimately, but it's one of those things where Andy Reid uses everybody kind of as a Z slot anyway. But he has no problems going outside and beating press coverage as well. So from that standpoint, can you beat man coverage? Can you beat press coverage? When we get into the red zone, you be an effective target down there? Checks all three of those boxes. Under 20, pretty solid as far as his injury history is concerned, which you need solid right now within the room. So yeah, I mean, he checks every single box, and that's why he would be the only one really worth paying up a day two selection from that standpoint.
Yeah. To Maya's question, the Titans' third round pick would be, from my opinion, would be a little bit too pricey. Just where the Titans would end up finishing this year. I think that's essentially a better third round pick option than what we would have in the third round. I know a lot of people look at it and say, "Hey, it's just the third round," blah blah blah. But essentially, that you're talking about picking in the top 100 versus picking later on in near the fourth round, almost. So for the Chiefs, I know that Brevich and them at this point in time would probably want to hold on to that pick and probably are more willing to move on from their third round pick at this point, and that's the price that they've probably been shopping around for people. I think Carolina would be willing to do that just because they are in a situation right now where they probably need all the draft picks that they can get. They're trying to rebuild that team from the ground up at this point in time. So whatever draft capital you can kind of take at this point, I think you kind of take it, especially for a guy that you're probably not going to end up paying per se. I mean, they could, end up saying they want to keep Deontay Johnson, but I don't think that they have too much interest in keeping him there at this point in time, especially if they can get some kind of draft capital off of him. So yeah, I think he fits. I kind of take heed to what you said earlier in our space earlier, DMac, as far as what he would be able to bring to kind of reviving this red zone offense. It's just an area I feel like that they have kind of struggled in to this point in time. We haven't struggled moving the ball in between the 20s, but when we get down to the 20s, of course, the field gets more condensed, more tight. It's a lot more harder to move the ball. And I think a lot of teams end up starting to play man when you get down there, and somebody's got to win quickly, and I think the Chiefs right now lack that, having that guy on their team that can win quickly. It's only so much stretching the field that Xavier Worthy can really do. Yeah, you can hit on explosive plays and stuff like that, but when you get into that short area, you got to find somebody that can win their one-on-one matchup, and and be able to get into the end zone. I know we've seen Trav do it for years at this point in time, but we know, where he's going at in his point in his career. So I think it's really indicative right now for them to go and get a guy that can be able to help them in that area and be somebody that Pat can trust down in that area because the red zone struggles have been a struggle this year. I think there's a lot of things that they can obviously do to fix and alleviate that, but getting a Deontay Johnson, somebody that can win man-to-man matchups, I think will really help them. So
Yeah. And look, again, from the Panthers' perspective, sure, you want to continue to keep them and I guess try and win. I guess, but you've obviously you're at a position where you sat Bryce Young and Andy Dalton to start, and you're just plugging along as far as the season is concerned. There's nothing to be had there. And look, this is a guy that you got for what was essentially they traded a cornerback in the 7th round pick for a 6th round pick. And ultimately, so being able to come away with a 3rd round pick, and even if it should be the Chiefs' 3rd round pick, it's a massive win as far as they're concerned. So I think that there's the 3 elements of the age, the ability to really be a difference maker for this offense, the fact that he may be amenable to a contract extension because he's moved around in the ways that he has, the fact that the Chiefs could use a guy that they could put on a contract extension as well from that aspect, a modest one. It's not like he's going to break the bank by any means from that standpoint. And then you add in what the Panthers are looking at as well. That's the one that all of those elements kind of come together. And as Amaya points out, as far as the Titans' 3rd round pick is concerned, that's essentially going to be what is equivalent to our essential 2nd rounder, because that's going to be a top 5 pick in the 3rd round. And we're going to have, a last 5 pick as far as the 2nd round is concerned. So what that does is that allows you to be more amenable to moving that 3rd round pick if you have it, or 4th round pick, etc. And this is one of those drafts where maybe there's a little bit less depth and maybe you don't love necessarily having to have an extra pick. Maybe you can feel like you can move it, especially if you're going to get a value out of the player this year and possibly for a future year. That's important from that standpoint. So I'd be happy to bring him in, and I'd certainly be happy to have him implemented in this offense, because I think that the regular season, which is why I'm not concerned about the implementation standpoint as far as how quickly he can acclimate to the offense. There's a ramping up period that's going to come with it. We can get by in the regular season. I do believe we can continue to win games, put ourselves in position to win the 1 seed, or, obviously at the very least win this division, because nobody's being serious in this division, to be honest with you. But the reality situation is, to win the playoffs, I think there's going to be a greater challenge, and you're going to have to be able to beat man-to-man coverage. And right now, you don't have Rashee Rice the rest of the year. Hollywood Brown is a question mark. You can't put all of that on Juju and Travis Kelce. You just can't. You got to have other options. And obviously, Xavier Worthy is going to be an X factor in this. But again, you can't just put it all on him either. So I think being able to secure the room is important at this stage in the game. And I think there can be long-term benefits from that standpoint as well, at a cost that is certainly acceptable.
Yeah. What were your guys' natural reactions today to the Devontae Adams news and the Amari Cooper news?
Expected.
He's been in New York for like a week now, so that was very
The
fact that the news dropped after the game. He's been there literally. Like, I remember, like, I saw a tweet of one of the reporters say he's on a flight headed to New York like a week ago for treatment. Like, he ain't going up for no dang treatment. He's going to get a sign. So
yeah, y'all know where he was going. So it was desperation by Jets. You knew that he was going to end up there. As far as the Amari Cooper, I was surprised it came together when it did. It's a little bit surprised, but it made perfect sense. Buffalo, they tried the Patrick Mahomes 2022 thing, and it lasted about 4 weeks of really good football from Josh Allen. And then we were like, ooh, this is tough. We need to make this better. So they couldn't stick it out with the way that Patrick Mahomes got it done in 2022. So they went out and got a true X receiver from that standpoint. And Amari Cooper is really good, and I understand why they went and did it. And I think that they were willing to give up a little bit more than probably the Chiefs were willing to, especially for a wide receiver that would be a rental, that would be over 30 as well, from that standpoint. But that'll help them out. They need it. They haven't necessarily gotten the immediate contributions that they wanted out of Keon Coleman. So they just needed him to be able to come in and really be a difference maker in the room from that standpoint. So not surprised, but I was a little bit, interested as far as the timing was concerned. But look, it is what it is. Both those teams needed those guys. The Jets, are desperate, so that's not surprising. So,
DMac, they told me they didn't need Xavier Worthy. That Keon Coleman was better. That's what they told me. They said that Xavier Worthy was not needed. I seen posts on like Xavier who.
Mhm.
Did y'all watch Keon Coleman last night?
Didn't look good.
Did y'all see what I saw?
Yep, a lot of lockups.
Getting cranked out
A lot
there.
of lockups.
No separation. You
None
know,
at all.
looking like he
And
was
look,
having-
and this is why, and it's always been this way with how the Chiefs evaluate things. The idea of Andy Reid's offense is how can we create space? Even if Xavier Worthy is not creating incredible one-on-one matchup separation, just the threat of the space alone is automatically an issue. Guess what? On that long touchdown he had for Patrick Mahomes, it wasn't an incredible amount of separation. All he needed was half a step, and he got a defensive pass interference and still caught the ball. So that's all you need. And just by the threat of that being out there automatically creates different things that you have to account for from a defense. And that's why you saw him get multiple pass interference calls, or at least, questionable one and then one pass interference call versus the Saints too. So that's how you create that space. And that's what allows Andy Reid to operate his offense accordingly. And I was just kind of adding that one little element tweak that we can get for a red zone beater and a guy that consistently beats man coverage to help out just in general. And then I think this offense is going to be right back to being top 5 in the league. Truthfully, I do believe that because you can run the ball. They've shown it. Not an issue. You can get heavy personnel sets and attack defenses however you need to. Just right now, without Rashee Rice, without Hollywood Brown, you're missing that element of spreading it out and being able to have the passing really threats to get it done in the red zone. And that's what you need to bring it back as well. I also did want to bring this up since we did reference it. Like, I feel like we got to actually show.
That's Tyreek for him. He's going to 11. If that's Tyreek for him.
That's Tyreek doing.
So classic.
Hey, I'm gonna tell
Put it
y'all
on a
like
shirt.
the first time, like literally the first time I watched that.
I cried, bro.
When I mean to tell you, I had to pause that video and like, you know how you slide down the couch or whatever. Like I was on the
DZ was
floor,
like,
bruh. It was so because not only did I watched it after that we beat them or whatever, so you still got that high of winning that game or whatever. But for them to say that on the sideline, knowing the struggles that we kind of had,
they
to
called him
endure
trash all year. That's the fuck we told him. We played him earlier that year.
with MVS, and I'm like, he's Tyreek now?
He's who?
What?
That's all it took was a 100-yard game. That's all it took, boy. 100-yard game. That's all it took.
So Tyreek.
That was a funny day. I was at that game. It was very cold, but very, very, very.
Oh
very,
man, bro, that's
and to
such
see that,
a classic
boy,
line.
made it that much
That's
better.
such a classic line. Speaking to that, man. Speaking to the Bengals and stuff like that, man. Going around, just look around the league real quick. Who you guys kind of been impressed? What teams have impressed you? And what teams have not impressed you up until this point? Just kind of going around the league a little bit.
The Vikings still doing what they do. Aaron Jones in and out the lineup doesn't matter. I know Sam Darnold was a threat to miss some games, but he came back in there and made plays. So I know they were on a bye week like us, but up to this point in the season, I didn't expect them to be that good. So they definitely been the biggest shock of the league to me. And the other one is my sleeper for MVP coming into the year was Jordan Love, and it sounded like he ain't missed a beat. I know he had an ankle injury for week 1 when he played the Eagles, and it was a scare, and everybody thought he was out for the year. And thankfully, he's able to come back. He came back looked like Jordan Love, hitting fadeaway jumpers, throwing the ball downfield, all his receivers making plays, run after catch, making throws on platform, off platform, looking like a guy that's going to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback in this league for a very long time. So Jordan Love definitely a guy that's exceeded my expectations for sure this year, and he's playing like a low-key MVP. I know he doesn't have the games, the full intel to play it, but overall, he's been playing like one of the better quarterbacks in the league for sure, and that's what missing 2 or 3 weeks with injury too. So absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to kind of just go through, Washington, I will say, because, people maybe just won't give them love because they lost the game. But Jaden Daniels was very impressive in what he was able to do versus the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, we know the Ravens had some struggles as far as pass defense is concerned, but they really did challenge them, and I thought that they were incredibly impressive. Buccaneers, plugging along, looking at they're trying to battle it out and continue to exceed expectations as well.
50 ball.
He did. And then I'll hit on I'll hit on a trio of rookie quarterbacks, and that people may be looking at the box scores for one of them at least, or for two of them at least. That may not be blowing them away, but I was for circumstances. I thought Spencer Rattler equipped himself well. Obviously, lost Chris Olave early in the game, but was making some throws. Did not look like he was absolutely lost out there, which for a fifth-round pick is nothing to absolutely sneeze at. Drake May in his first game action, I thought was throwing the ball extremely well. Actually brought some juice to that Patriots offense, which they hadn't had the entirety of the year. Made Demario Douglas look pretty good out there. So going to be interested to see how he continues to develop. And then Caleb Williams absolutely demolished the Jaguars defense. Made some throws I was extremely impressed by. So he is looking like the number one pick that was expected. And look, early in the season, they put a lot on his plate and challenged him. And he stood up to that challenge to be able to continue to get better. And so now you're seeing the fruits of that labor come to fruition. So shout out to some of the rookie quarterbacks, man. They're doing their dang thing. Obviously, the kid in Washington, Jane Daniels, being spectacular to this point.
JD, rookie of the year so far. MVP, nobody's really separated too much, but there's probably a lot of guys that are on that list. So I'll probably leave that for now.
Probably Josh Allen.
To me, Lamar is the clear MVP. To me personally, and I know it's weird because obviously he just won it last year, but he's been on a heater about halfway through. I don't know if it was the Bills game. Was it the Bills game? Because they had to make a comeback in the Bills game.
He was very efficient in the Commanders game, so that definitely helped.
He was. For sure. He absolutely was. About halfway through the Bills game, he flipped the switch where he was like, all right, I'm sick and tired of this. So he's been playing at an extremely high level, really mitigated his taking of the sacks, which has been kind of a weird hole that's been in his game since he's come into the league. So shout out to him, man. He's been on a heater right now, and that Ravens offense is certainly rolling along. And they took full advantage of a Commander's defense that isn't pretty good either. So, but a few teams, a few guys. Early. Baker Mayfield, coach of the year.
Yeah,
for sure. That's my coach of the year pick so far.
Starting to really,
Brian Flores, assistant of the year, please.
Assistant of the year, if there was absolutely a guy that's trying to get coaching.
See the teams, the cream of the crop, kind of separate itself from the I guess you could say the pretenders. I know a lot of people were high up on the Saints, the first 2 weeks, seeing what they had done, but I think they
life comes at you fast.
Officially come back down to earth, giving up 51 points. Nasty.
Didn't they score? Was it they score 50 on the Cowboys, or was it 40?
They scored 44 on the Cowboys.
You scoring 40 on somebody, then you getting to score 40 on that. That's funny. Life comes at you fast. That's funny.
I was watching that game Sunday, bro, and they just quit. They quit like midway through the game.
And Baker threw 3 picks, and they still
worked. So,
it was so weird because the Bucks started out 17-0. Then they came back, scored 27 in the second quarter.
Interceptions. So I'm like, what?
Weird game. That was such an NFC South game for no reason. And honestly, the Panthers Falcons game was kind of weird too. It was really a close game. But it's the NFC South. It always is weird.
Yeah, NFC South, baby.
Yeah, starting to see people separate from each other. Going into this week, man, it's really good week 7. We got a lot of good games on the slate. Texans, Packers. Also, Ravens and Bucks play on Monday night.
Yep.
Lions and Vikings obviously play NFC North clash, and then you got Chiefs and Niners, of course, going at it. Which games you guys this week are you intrigued by, or that you'll be watching and having your eye on?
Vikings, Lions, NFC North foes going at it. That one's going to have my attention for sure. I'll be watching every snap of that. That's going to be
Texans Packers going to be two of the best young QBs in the league. Both guys could be top 5, top 10 for a long time. Both guys are going to be possible MVP candidates as well. So that's going to be a very, very fun matchup. Both teams got good receivers. Both teams got a lot of weapons. So it's going to be. And I believe was that game in Houston or is it in Green Bay?
It's in Green Bay.
Green Bay.
So the elements could be involved.
And Houston's the underdog.
Ugh. Hey, anytime CJ Stroud's on the field, him and Jordan Love figured out a way to make plays. So that game is definitely going to have a lot of eyes for me. Definitely going to be watching that one.
Yeah. I probably have my eyes on the Texans and Packers game. Probably
hopefully no weather's involved. I know last week was kind of ugly. We didn't get to see full Kyler Murray, even though he makes mistakes himself. But we'll definitely love to see a clean weather day for sure. If you want to see those guys go at it and put together a show.
Out of
So
these
by the
teams,
Lions Vikings is a good game too.
Out of some of these teams that have a losing record at this point in time, who do you guys see as a team that could potentially bounce back and work their way back into maybe playoff contention at this point?
Oh, I mean, I think that if we talked about the Jets earlier, I think that they definitely have a chance to work their way back into a wild card again. I talked about it earlier. The AFC is really just, to me at least, the Chiefs, the Ravens, Texans, and Bills right now is a separated out tier. And then kind of below that, it's a lot of teams. I don't think anybody's particularly impressive right now. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for them and the Bengals to both kind of make a run back at this thing. And I don't think they're out of it to any extent. As far as NFC is concerned,
Man.
I'm not advocating for the Cardinals. I'm not advocating for the Rams.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating for the Saints. I'm not advocating for the Giants either. So I don't think there's anybody in the NFC. But for me, the AFC
record, I mean,
yeah, I'm pinpointing the Bengals and Jets as far as the AFC is concerned, entirely the NFL.
The Bengals can always turn it around. They've done it for the last 3 years. Start slow, finish fast. So they're a classic get-back team. And the Jets just made the biggest move of the regular season right now, bringing in a top 5 receiver, in my opinion, Devontae Adams. So A-Rod, get this guy back. Garrett Wilson's your number 2 receiver, which is crazy to even think that. So Aaron Rodgers, for all his flaws and for all of his off-the-field antics, he looked good last night to me. Threw for almost 300 yards, made a lot of plays. He had a lot of vintage Aaron Rodgers throws. Obviously, the Hail Marys, like classic Aaron Rodgers in his prime. But he had a throw up the seam that he threw to, I believe it was to Alan Lazard, and he threw right over the linebacker's arm. I was like, that's classic Aaron Rodgers. And you're adding Devontae Adams to that. I'm like, I know the Jets have been losing games, and rightfully so, but it's not any fault of 12. He looks like himself. He looks like Aaron Rodgers to me.
They might not be able to protect him, but he can still throw that ball.
He can still throw
that pill.
He looks like a witness out there. So you're adding Devontae Adams to that.
He still has the ability to spin it, and it is very pretty when he does it. But I will continue to say he did mess up the last 2 weeks. The game-ending interceptions that he's thrown, those were both bad balls from him. It's not really good ball placement from that standpoint. But I still think, again, to you guys' point, you add Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson now slides to the number 2 spot. Everything that they run in that system is based around one-on-one matchups and creating those. And now you have 2 guys that can win those on a consistent basis. And that's before you get into the Alan Lazards of the world, who's I think has played pretty well from that aspect. So that sets them up to be pretty well. I think the offense will be fine, if not better, certainly than what it has been. Defense will probably be in a good spot moving forward too. So, yeah, I think the Jets will be able to make a run at it. I don't think there's anybody really stepping in their way right now as far as the AFC wildcard picture is concerned. I think the Bengals are also going to make a run at it too, because their offense should be able to sustain them even as the defense continues to struggle.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Jets are definitely going to work their way back into this thing. Adding that addition of Devontae Adams and now taking less pressure off of a player like Garrett Wilson, who's probably going to see, teams number 2 or number 3 cornerbacks at this point in time. I think it's a
boy. His longest reception prop is back to cash every week. Boy.
It's a big mismatch, man. So
he's never going to see a number 1 corner again.
Oh yeah, if you're a betting junkie like the rest of us up here, I highly advise that you probably take Garrett Wilson on some of his stats this year and see where he's at with that. But,
now that you do mention that, I will bring it up, and we'll get into it a little bit more. But I do want to say that we have debuted, the use of a Tell the Truth trifecta for game days, and again, we'll be posting this on Sunday morning as well, just for some of our favorite plays as well, and just continue to use them. If you did take it, unfortunately, the Xavier Worthy did not cash, only because he got interfered with instead. I know it was so close. But the other 2 did hit, and we're going to continue to give you guys a trifecta every single Chiefs game day So you guys can go ahead and put on those bets if you do so choose. Or, if you got to drive over to Kansas because Missouri wants to be stupid. Hopefully we change that in November as well.
Please
Hey,
don't
vote for amendment. Vote for amendment
Please,
too. Please,
yes.
please vote.
Please.
Yes, God,
Please, for the love of everything good.
I'm tired of making that drive, Lord.
So tired of going over
I'm
there.
so tired of it.
Y'all don't know the pain. I'll be in the middle of the night. I gotta drive.
The problem is y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand how many smoothies I've bought on Saturday and Sunday mornings specifically because I keep having to make that drive and I want to make it worthwhile for other than just putting in money bets. Okay,
exactly.
So,
please vote, everyone. Please, I'm begging you.
The trips on a Thursday night, a Saturday morning, Sunday morning.
That Chick-fil-A hate to see me.
A Sunday afternoon.
The John admission too. Absolutely.
I got to drive the mission to get that Chick-fil-A. You dig?
Oh man, that Smoothie King admission. Hate to see me coming. I tell you right now. Hate to see me coming, boy. Right. You know I'm coming in there.
Boy.
Oh,
this is it's this little O'Reilly Auto Parts over there.
I know it's on the corner. I know
exactly which way.
Right
the
there
one where
by
you just crossed the bridge. The one where you just crossed the bridge.
Right in there, you know. I know they be looking at me like this dude come here every weekend, bro, and he don't never come in. Like I have never seen the inside of that store.
Is the car gonna break down?
Yeah, man, go vote, please. Go vote regardless of if it's for gambling purposes.
No, forget what DG said. Vote for me.
Yeah,
please.
If
you love us, vote for me.
Look,
everybody can have their own opinions as far as the rest of the ballot is concerned. Just please, that one, please. I beg you.
That would just please.
That's all I can ask for. Please.
My car mileage would greatly appreciate it if y'all would do that.
I could wake up and make all my bets, and I could give y'all more information.
Bro, you know how nice it'd be to just lay in bed and
we trying to make y'all more money, honestly, because it's a lot easier that way. Live betting too? Oh, please, man.
I ain't gotta go nowhere.
Ain't gotta go nowhere. Come on, man. Let's just make it happen, man. Let's do it, and we can all make some money, make some cash, and have a little fun. But yeah, man, I think. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but yeah, so that'll be debuting every single week. From that aspect, we're gonna get a little bit of a truncated look at the power rankings, and we'll edit it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the power.
No, you get the one thing I want to say. I want to issue an apology on my behalf and for CJ and DG. That number 8 spot, we apologize. It should not have existed. We really messed up in putting that team there at number 8. That is our fault. That is on us.
Yeah, there it is.
That's on us. I apologize for that. It should not have ever happened. That's an oversight. You guys trust us to be better than that. That should never happen. Shout out to Jerry Jones, man. Obviously, the Ravens played the Commanders. Commanders lost. I think we could just move the Texans up to 5 and the Commanders down to 6. Like, I don't think that they need to go any further down than that. I think they were just fine outside of that. Falcons at 7. I mean, they beat the Panthers, so I guess they can stay there. I guess that works. Bills, I guess, move up into that Cowboy spot that never should have existed at 8. Yeah. Packers, they won their game, so we'll move them up to 9. Who do you guys want to put at number 10 as far as the National Football League is concerned?
10. Steelers?
They did,
yeah.
Man.
They kind of handled their business as well. The only other team I would possibly suggest, I'm not doing the Eagles. You won by 4 points, and Nick Sirianni is talking ish to the fans. You should have looked better coming out of the bye week. I'm not rewarding that behavior, Philadelphia. I'm sorry. You got to show me better than that. I'm kind of between because it's between the Buccaneers beat the Saints, and that's not all that impressive to me. Well, because we don't do 49ers, Buccaneers, Steelers, or Bears. No, I'm not doing the Chargers.
I'll go Bears. Bears.
Yeah.
Bears did look. Caleb looked better this week.
Caleb's offense looked better. I'll go Bears.
I guess
Bears, 49ers, Bucks, Steelers, I think are the 4. And I like the Bears.
Niners were impressive in Seattle.
Yeah, that was a Thursday night victory in which they kind of did.
They always dominate them, though.
Also true. Yeah, that's true.
Can we do like slash? Can we do like Bears slash
Bears-
Bears
Bears
Steelers
Niners.
slash
Slash Niners slash
Just slash
multiple.
all of them. Just
Slash
Whoever,
all
slash
of
all.
whoever you like. That's what it is.
Yeah. Them three.
Sam's gonna hate us.
Right? Like, what the hell
Sam's
is
gonna-
this?
Slash this. You don't like this.
We couldn't decide, man. They all get 10, man.
Lions gold star for beating the absolute blue out of the star down there in Dallas.
Beat the piss out of them. You hear me?
Dog piss.
And I don't know what they did to him, but they decided to try and do hook and ladder with an offensive lineman, and so that ultimately
They was pulling all the
adds
stops.
on for that.
Look,
Yeah, Sam is gonna hate us when he does.
it was already one ass whooping in Texas by a Texas team.
Oh,
It couldn't be two. So, the Cowboys had to die so the Longhorns could live. That's my logic.
Yeah, y'all just short OU. Y'all tap dance all over
Gonna
them.
be
That's
a lot of-
that's for dang sure.
a lot of
Not even
people gonna
close.
be on suicide watch in Texas this week. So
Jerry already
Jones.
is.
Jerry
Jerry
Jones.
trying to give people. He trying to put some people on the unemployment line. Good lord.
Yeah,
that too.
he's firing. I'm firing everybody.
He said, "Y'all doing y'all job too well. You gotta go." That's great.
Boy, oh boy,
If
oh
only
boy.
he treated his team like that, maybe they actually win a game.
Yeah, if you
We
care
was
so much
listening.
about building a football team, maybe never mind.
Very quickly, game picks in the X Factor for Chiefs versus Niners. What y'all feeling, man?
We're gonna go. Obviously, Chiefs win. I think it's gonna be. Chiefs 26. Niners 20.
X Factor.
X Factor will be, like I said, Jamar Connor. It's gonna be a big week for him. George Kittle matchup is gonna be the one I'm most excited to watch. He's gonna see a lot of him all game, so they're gonna try to get him the ball early and often. I don't think any receivers have really gotten off on us this year, so I don't expect a big game from Ayuk or Debo. And we've been in lead versus stopping a run, so they're gonna try to use Kittle in multiple different ways, putting him in motion, middle of the field, screen game, any way to get the ball in his hands. And 27 been up to the challenge. So yeah, give me Jamar Connor as my X Factor for sure.
Yeah, I've been conflicted just because I've been going back and forth on this motivational factor that the Niners have coming into this game. I know people can say, "Oh man, we're not thinking about the Super Bowl losses and stuff like
You
that." I just highly doubt that that's not the case in this situation. Obviously, they haven't beat us very much in the regular season as well either. So I just think the Niners are going to be ultra motivated. I know they're down players still, but I think that this is probably a lot bigger game for them than it is for us at this point in time. I don't know, man. I hate doing it. I gotta pick against this. This is probably the first time I ever do this. Niners win 24-21. I hope I'm massively wrong because I still like to get the dub and be 6-0, but I just feel like the motivational factor is there for them, and that's the only thing I'm giving them over us at this point in time. So X factor for us, I think Juju puts together another good week. I think Xavier Worthy being able to open up things, especially downfield, it might be something that the Niners could struggle with. So I think middle of the field will be open again for Juju to kind of operate. Don't know if he has 130 yards like he did against the Saints, but I think he puts together another good game. So I'll go Juju.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, I don't want to pick against this for obvious reasons.
If they had CMC and some other guys, I would feel more comfortable, but no safeties, no elite running back. It's
That's always the trap, though. Like you say, oh, they had no safety, they had this, and then Chiefs go out there and
Chiefs is an underdog. think Pat's like when Pepper has an underdog.
Chiefs just fall asleep at the wheel. Like, yeah, bro, we ain't.
Now the Chiefs were favored, I would understand, but they're the underdog now, so that makes me feel even better about it. Because I'm like, ugh.
It's tough. I had this as the first loss before the season. I had us going 5-0, and then beating the Raiders, Buccaneers, and Broncos after that. So, do I want to stick to my guns? I think we're going. That was before I knew they were missing CMC and Funga.
It's a lot of guys not playing. Yeah,
this is annoying. Because if I get this wrong. What is going to make me more annoyed if I pick them to lose? Well, no, because I'm going to be happy that they're undefeated. So I'll pick them to lose. I'll stick to my guns as far as preseason is concerned. I think it'll be one of those things, 27, 23. I'll say the Niners end up getting the win. Some difficulty guarding George Kittle specifically will be a part of it. And that'll be a test of what our safeties can bring to the table. And they learned some lessons. That'll have them better prepared for the next time around as well. That as far as the Chiefs X factor is concerned, I think on the offense side of the ball, because we don't have the ability right now, you got to find explosives to Xavier Worthy. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to challenge you man-to-man coverage. You got to be able to find those explosives. So Xavier Worthy's my X factor on the offensive side of the ball coming out of the bye week. I expect better. I hope Patrick Mahomes can make that happen from that standpoint. And on the defensive side, and I trust the trenches to get the job done. I think they'll be better. On the defensive side of the ball, Shamar Conner is a very good X factor. I think Justin Reid is going to be certainly a part of it from that standpoint. But I think there's a very good challenge for Jalen Watson. He's obviously started out very well as cornerback too. If he can have another really good game and make it so that a similar way in which they were able to take away and make it very difficult for Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel to hurt them in the Super Bowl, if they can replicate that success along with how our run defense has been able to go, and then add on top of it, being able to have a better plan for George Kittle, then I think that's a good recipe for success. So I'll go Jalen Watson. I'll go Xavier Worthy. But I am picking the 49ers in this case. 27-24.
Yeah,
27-23. 27-23.
I hope I'm massively wrong.
I'd love to be. Like I said, I'm always happy to be wrong when I pick against it. So I'm not going to be mad at it at all.
I'm going to stick with it. I'm gonna stick with it.
I'm stand beside it.
I'm stand beside it.
Stand beside it.
That's mine.
I just want you to know when you lay your head on that pillow at night.
Yeah, I gave it everything I had. Everything I had.
When I be up late at night going across that state line for these plays for y'all.
That's what MVS is texting. That's what MVS is texting Brett Veach right now.
Veach, I just want you to know. Veach.
When you lay your head on that
pillow, Veach.
Do you think about those playoffs?
When it was January, I gave everything I had. I didn't give it for you in October and November. I ain't did it for you versus the Packers and Eagles.
But when it's January,
when we had to play the Bills, when we had to play the Ravens, I gave it everything I had.
It was on the road
everything
too.
I had.
Everything I had.
When they were yelling and throwing snowballs in Buffalo, and they was yelling 2 in Avenue in Baltimore in that bank, I gave everything I had. I promise you, I gave everything I had. Promise you, I gave everything I had.
They was calling me Tyreek in the playoffs. Don't forget about that.
We gotta quit.
I had 100 yards that game. I gave it everything I had.
Hey man, tell the truth. Episode 47, Kingdom Cast, man. We love y'all, man. We appreciate everybody for pulling up. For DMac, DG, CJ, we out, man. We'll see y'all on the timeline.
Go Chiefs, man. Look out for that trifecta, man. Coming out game day.
Bang, bang.